Okay, children. So today we are going to do the last lesson of the book Hornbill, and the name of the lesson is Silk Road. And in your social studies, you must have read about Silk Route, through which China used to send silk and tea. Everything was exported. So this Silk Road, the narrator, he wanted to travel to the area, and he wanted to see those places, and the experience that he had in this is shown in the lesson. So here the narrator is saying that the flawless half moon floated in a perfect blue sky on the morning we said our goodbyes. That when he set for the journey, the sky was perfectly blue and the morning was very good, and extended banks of clouds like long French loaves glowed pink as the sun emerged to splash the distant mountain tops with a rose tinted blush. And the sun was coming out, means the sun was rising, and the clouds that were there in the sky, they seemed to be having pink touch in that, as if the rose blushes. It seems when the rose is red, and when you some of the people comment that the person is blushing, means the cheeks get red. So in the same way, in the sky the clouds were there and they seemed to be blushing. Now that we were leaving Ravu, Lamhor said she wanted to give me a farewell present, and the place that they were leaving was Ravu. And here the narrator's sister, she is the cousin, and she said that I wanted to give farewell present to them. One evening I told her through Daniel that I was heading towards Mountain Kailash to complete the Kora, and she said that I ought to get some warmer clothes. So one day his cousin Daniel, he went and told his cousin that they were going for Kora. So she said that she'll be giving them some warm clothes to wear because it would be very cold over there. After ducking back into her tent, she emerged carrying one of the long-sleeved sheepskin coats that all men wore. And when she came out of her tent, she brought a big coat, and that was made of sheepskin, and it had long sleeves, and men used to wear it. Satan seized me up as we clambered into his car. Ah yes, he declared, Drogba, sir. And then as he was trying to get inside the car, Satan, he said to him that Drogba's wear this, sir. The Satan is the driver. We took a shortcut to get off the Changtang. Satan knew a route that would take us southwest, almost directly towards Mount Kailash. And this driver, he knew the shortcut, and he said through shortcut he would take them to the Mount Kailash. It involved crossing several fairly high mountains, passes, he said, but no problem, sir. But he said that high mountain passes will be there, but it won't be difficult for them to cross it. And he assured them, if there is no snow, means if no snow is there on the path, on the passes, then it will become easier for them to go through it. That was the likelihood that I had asked, not knowing, sir, until we get there. And when the narrator asked him, is the snow will be there, will the roads be covered with the snow? So the driver said, we'll come to know about it when we reach there. From the gently rolling hills of Ravu, the shortcut took us across vast open plains with nothing in them except a few gazelles that would look up from nibbling the arid pastures and frown before bounding away into the void. And then when they left Ravu and came to the open area, they found some of the gazelles. The animals were there and they were nibbling in the grass. As you must have seen, the cows or the goats, they nibble in the grass. They try to find the food in the grass. I mean, in the green pastures. And then after that, they looked up as if they didn't see anything. Void, it's a open space, the vacuum that is there. So they looked up and then again they started nibbling the grass. Further on, where the plains became more stony than grassy, a great herd of wild asses came into view. And as they moved on and they came to a stony area, and there they could see the ass. Wild ass were there. Sitan told us we were approaching them long before they appeared. Gang, he said, pointing towards a far-off pall of dust. And then the driver said to them that they are coming towards the area where the pall of dust, the huge dust is growing up. When we drew nearer, we could see the herd galloping en masse, wheeling and turning on right formation as if they were practicing maneuvers on some determined course. And when they went near it, they saw that the as they were galloping, they were running, and because of their running, the wheel, the smoke of dust was getting up, and as if they were trying they were doing exercise or they were practicing something. Plumes of dust billowed into the crisp, clean air, and a clean air through the clean air it could be clearly seen the cloud of dust rising in the sky. As hills started to push up once more from the rocky wilderness, we passed solitary drogbas tending their flocks. And further on, when they moved towards the hills, they found the drogbas. They were herding their flock. They were looking after the flock in the pastures. Sometimes men, sometimes women. These well-wrapped figures would pause and stare at a car. So men and women, everyone was there, and they were looking at the car, occasionally waving us as we passed, and they were waving them. You must have seen the small children when you go through the road, by road you go somewhere, and nowadays it's becoming less, but previously when few vehicles moved on the roads, the car went, the children in the village, they used to wave their hands to the people who were traveling, and that way these people, they were waving their hands to the men and to the narrator and his friend who was traveling in the car. When the track took us close to the animals, the sheep would take evasive action, veering away from the speeding vehicles. And when the car, it went near the animal that were being they were looked after by the drogbas, the sheep, they started running here and there, and they wanted to save themselves. We passed nomads, dark tent pitched in the splendid isolation. Then they further found the nomads' tents that were put up in the isolation in the remote area, and the huge black dog, that was the Tibetan Mastiff. It was guarding their tent. These beasts would cock their great big head when they became aware of the approaching and fix us in their sights. And when they heard the car coming towards them, they started popping up their heads and looking at the car. As we continued to draw closer, they would explode into action, speeding directly towards us like a bullet from a gun, and nearly as fast. And when the car came near, they started barking at them and they rushed towards the car as if the bullet rushed from the gun and it tried to catch them. These shaggy monsters, blacker than the darkest night, usually wore bright red collars and barked furiously with massive jaws. And these mastiffs, Tibetan Mastiff, they were black in color and they wore red collars and their barks, it was furious, and the jaws were very strong and big. They were completely fearless of our vehicles, and they were not at all afraid of the vehicle, shooting straight into our path, causing Citan to brake and swerve. And because of those uh, running dogs, the driver had to apply brake to the car. The dog would make chase for 100 meters or so before easing off, having seen us off the property. And then uh, for 100 meters, these dogs, they chased them, and when the car was away from the property of the nomads, they went back. It wasn't difficult to understand why ferocious Tibetan Mastiffs became popular in China's imperial court as hunting dogs. And these kinds of dogs, they were tamed in the China court. The king, he tamed all these animals because they were the nice hunting dogs and they would guard them. So they were brought along the Silk Road in ancient times as tribute from Tibet. So see, these animals, they were brought from Tibet to China through the Silk Road, and they were tamed in the imperial courts. So children, that's all for today. Good day and good luck.